Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us in our September office hours, actually the early October, but we had to find a new date. So welcome, everyone. We are talking today about our quality special education self-assessment, and we're looking forward to sharing it with you. My name is Sarah Sandelius, and I am the CEO of the Ability Challenge, and I'll let my co-presenter introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Kristen Briggs. I'm the Managing Director of Program here at the Ability Challenge.
And feel free to use the Q&A as we go through, ask questions as you see fit. We want this to be interactive, so feel free to jump in at any time. We also have time at the end for more Q&A, so you can also feel free to hold your questions until the very end if you prefer. Please feel free to also share your name and district and role even in the chat so we know who's here. And as you guys are doing that, thank you. Good to see you. I will start with a bit of overview on the Ability Challenge, or ABC, as we like to call it. Oh, very exciting. Lots of folks here from all over the place. So this is our main slide. And what we like to sort of emphasize is that we partner with schools and districts, mostly on the East Coast right now, but we are open to partnering with anyone. And what we do is we use a research-based program to develop critical core competencies in school leaders, educators, and student support staff. And in turn, they are empowered to create authentically inclusive school communities and teams that work together to meet the unique needs of all learners. And ultimately, our goal is to transform how students with disabilities are served in their schools. Our work in the field is sort of really focused on helping schools, districts, and other agencies build practices, policies, and procedures that center the needs of the most diverse learners in the center of the work. And so in that respect, we really focus on a broad definition of what we mean when we say success and inclusion. Our office hours, we'll talk a little bit more about where it came from, but the office hours is one of the resources that we've developed as part of this work, and we are continuing to build additional supports as we build our community as well. Kristen, anything to add here?
No, you're covering it all. I'm excited to dig into the self-assessment.
Yeah. All right, one more thing about the Ability Challenge, which is that we've set a big goal. By 2045, we want 1 million more students with disabilities to be on track to graduate from school, ready to thrive and empowered to take on the world. We know this is a big task, but we're really excited about it, and we love to share that this is our work. So why office hours? We are in a period of growth, and we're learning from our work in the field. And as we do, there's a number of issues that sort of keep coming up that are emerged in our more sort of intensive partnership work that align with the work that we do. And we wanted to make sure that we are sharing these more broadly as we come up with the different trends. And additionally, there's also new needs and different needs facing schools these days as a result of the pandemic and everything that we're dealing with. And so the trends that we're seeing and the new needs have caused us to really say, okay, how can we align our sharing our lessons with the tools that schools need right now? And so what we are doing, and if you see this bottom arrow, is every month in 2022 and 2023, or I guess not every month, but every month in this school year, we are sharing a lesson that we've learned. So we will identify an insight from our work that has broad application to share with the field. And then we are building a blog and a tool that will be a practice-based tool that you can put those lessons into practice. And then we're offering these office hours as a way to engage with the community about the tool and more generally to continue learning together. We started this last year, and so you'll see in this pink square above that we've had, this is our third office hours. And as I mentioned, we will be doing them monthly throughout this school year. So as you listen to these and you want to be, get on the list for additional sessions, feel free to do so. This session, we are sharing our special education quality self-assessment tool. And we're really excited about it because we think it can be really helpful in thinking about goal setting and starting the year off well. By now you're sort of into the school year, but there's still real opportunity to set some intentional goals. And so we think that the tool is a helpful way to do that. If you are a partner organization and you're interested in working with us to develop tools, we also really value the work that others are doing in the field. And so let us know if this is something that you're interested in, because we love friends and we love to partner to release resources. Yeah, I think that's it. Kristen, did I miss anything? No. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk more about our self-assessment.
Awesome. So as Sarah mentioned, office hours is something that we've been aiming to do every month during the school year. So earlier this year, we proudly introduced our framework for special education quality. We've actually since updated the name to be a little bit more tip of the tongue. So it's the quality framework for special education. Or no, I'm sorry, I said that incorrectly. This is the updated name, the framework for special education quality. The framework is a whole school approach to special education. Our ultimate goal was to connect the research and promising practices into a set of core competencies that when they're developed in leaders and teachers, they're empowered to build those authentically inclusive school communities like Sarah mentioned earlier. If you have more questions about it, you can definitely access the information on our website. It was in our blog in May. So feel free to pop into the website to see that. We're not going to dig into the competency of the framework today because we really want to lean into the self-assessment, but we strongly encourage you to check it out. To give you a teaser, here are the competencies. So you'll notice that the competencies are split into leaders and teachers. That is on purpose, but you'll also notice that there are a lot of parallels. We wanted to make sure that we honored the lens that plays into each of the competencies. And we'll talk a bit more about how you can actually collect information on each of these in your self-assessment. Again, strongly encourage you to check out that blog to read more about them. So how do the competencies come to life in practice? ABC partnerships are built on our framework. So as Sarah mentioned, we currently partner with several districts and even some state agencies on the East Coast. And our work focuses on a customized set of supports in several areas. One is the needs assessment, which again is grounded in that framework. We love data, so we collect a ton of data to compile it into a summary report to present to a partner. We then collaborate with that partner to develop strategic improvement plans. So we guide them through an analysis of their findings to determine what their priority areas are and how we can strategically improve in those areas. Our support also includes any combination of leadership coaching, educator training, continuous improvement tools, which is our chosen methodology for strategic improvement, because we just believe that being able to leverage continuous improvement in your community leads to sustained change. And then sustainability planning, because ultimately we want to make sure that schools are set up for success on their own. Who knows your buildings and your districts better than you do? So we want to make sure that we're a support and that this can still live beyond working with ABC. So why the self-assessment? We love working with partners, but we also recognize that there are some limitations when it comes to how folks can engage. And so I'm going to turn it over to Sarah to talk to you a little bit more about why this is an approach that we offer.
Yeah. So one of the things that we really want to make sure to do, and I think that it's coming through in our reasoning for offering the office hours, is bring our support and tools to a broader audience. And so we're constantly thinking about what does this look like for a school district or a partner who maybe doesn't have access to the kind of partnership that we do, where we go more deeply with schools, or maybe it's one single educator in an environment where inclusion or collaboration hasn't been deeply embraced, but you still want to do the work. And so that's that's a big value of ours, is to make sure that we're sharing these lessons. And so we built the self-assessment as a way to bring our framework and tools to more educators. It is a very abbreviated version of what we look at when we go into schools. And we wanted to create an opportunity for folks for free to just hop on a survey, quickly fill it out, and be able to get some sort of kickstart some ideas about ways to improve. And so we built the self-assessment as a way to start to bring this tool to more educators. We also did it because we wanted to start to have some national benchmarks around how folks are doing. So we're hoping that as we get more and more folks to fill it out, we'll be able to really say, you're performing at a high quality in these 3 areas, and this is another area where you might want to think about improving. And that can be really benchmarked across other schools, and then we can bring people together to talk about the ways in which that they're improving on the different competencies. And lastly, and probably most importantly, we just wanted to help folks improve. And so we figured if we can connect with folks in the field and share some learnings that will help people get a start on where they might think about improving. I can do this one if you want.
Oh, I just had to find the mute button. Okay.
Go for it.
So let's talk about the self-assessment tool. The framework, as we mentioned, has been leveraged to conduct needs assessments with partners, where we go on site and collect a ton of information. We wanted to be able to present it to you all in a more digestible way if you wanted to take this on as a school leader, a teacher for your district, et cetera. So when you engage with the self-assessment tool, first you'll have an option to select your role. You can select to complete it as a teacher or as a leader. The assessment will also ask you to identify your focus. So you can complete any of these assessments for yourself, you can complete them for your school, or if you're a district level leader, you can complete it for your district. Then you'll move into completing an actual self-inventory that's aligned to the core competencies. So it'll take you through each competency, as well as some of the success indicators within each of them, ask you several questions to answer, again, about yourself, your school, or your district, and then it'll produce a nice customized report for you.
Do we have anyone on here who has completed one of these yet? Curious if you guys have. Okay, maybe not. Maybe everyone's going to go complete it afterwards. We'd be thrilled. Awesome.
See, one person said they had seen the framework.
So
they're curious
yes.
about the self-assessment.
Yes. So now you can go do the self-assessment and figure out how you stack up.
Do you want to talk about the results?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, these are my slides, and I apologize. I am. There's awkward silences in office hours, which are always so fun. Okay. Self-assessment results. What happens after you've done the survey? So the great thing is that you get a customized report, a summary report that looks very similar to what we create for our school partners only. It's shorter. And the data is obviously drawn from your own assessment of performance. And you'll see here, we have a picture of a couple of the pages, but basically what we do is we go through each of the competencies. We give you a definition of the competencies. We give you the score based on your answers to the questions. And then we tell you, where you are on that benchmark. And so you'll see down below at the bottom, there's a little key that shows you which numbers correspond to which levels, whether you're proficient or have you mastered something. And that's why it's important when you're completing this to really do an honest reflection of where you are so that you can actually see how you stack up. The other page that we've shown here is just a snapshot of one of the pages of the summary report. And you'll see that it talks about what are your top leadership competencies. This is a leader that was completing it, I believe, for themselves. And it talks about both the top leadership competencies and then also the biggest growth areas. And then based on that, this person has 3 bullets for suggested areas to start their improvement journey, as well as on the right-hand column in gray, you'll see key considerations. These are questions that you can ask yourself, or your team, to dig into some of the results a little bit further. So you'll see, for example, this one says for key considerations, what are the expectations for staff around using high quality materials and differentiated strategies? How are staff held accountable for meeting these expectations? So that's a discussion question that you might want to look at. That's based on some of the areas of growth that this person had completed in their self-assessment.
Can I add one beat here?
Yeah.
I just want to underscore that even though we call it a score in the summary report, something that we want to be very clear about is improvement is a continuous process. And so we don't want folks to see this, get the assessments like, oh, we are really terrible in this area, and think that it is just a finite situation. Understand that the goal of this is to help you continuously strengthen your practices. So even if it's an area where you demonstrate like, oh, we're proficient, there's still opportunity to how do you really solidify those systems? How do you make sure that they're memorialized and that they could continue? So just always keep in mind that it's not like a report card, if you will. There are some of those out there that just say here are all the things that you are not good at, go. We wanted to be able to put you all in a position to get the information, get a snapshot of where you are, but then also give you the guiding questions to actually start moving towards improvement and know that it is ongoing.
Yeah, and I think another piece of that is, obviously, if you answer all 10s, you're not going to get a whole lot of suggestions about where to improve. This report is just going to you. Whoever completes it, at the end, you get a chance to put your name in, and it asks you if you want the report, if you want to talk to us. And so this is not going to anyone else with any identifying information. We are looking at the numbers so that we can create these benchmarks, but there's no identifying information attached when we do that.
But please put your contact information, because without it, we can't send you your report.
Yes, we've had a couple of folks do that. We ask for the name at the end, and we've had a couple of folks fill it all in and then not put their name or a contact info, which is totally fine, but then you're not going to get your results. So,
oh, this is a really good question. What if someone from my school team completes it? Can I get those results? If someone from your school team completes the assessment and they put their contact information in, it's going to go directly to them. And because that is the single source of info for us, we wouldn't even be able to share it with anyone. So I would say, if you have folks on your school team who are familiar with us or who have mentioned this, definitely open the conversation and say, if you have filled it out, or if you have anything that you could share with us, ask them to send it to you, because they would be the point of contact for that summary report. Or you can also fill it out from your perspective too.
Yeah, and just so this If you want, we have on our blog where we talk about this, we talk a little bit about some ways in which you can use it, and we'll talk about that really soon. But if you want to do this as a group and you want to sort of have everybody do it individually and then come together and share the results and sort of talk about, oh, I thought that we were a 6 on this. Oh, really? I thought we were a 1, those kinds of conversations. You can also feel free to reach out to us and we can sort of set you up with whatever makes sense as far as reports. But the way that we do it without any sort of intervention at this point is individual complete self-assessment, individual gets report, and that's all that's the extent to which we send out the identifying information in the report. Thanks for the question.
That was a really good question. It makes me very excited to think that folks are talking about this. So the self-assessment is just one piece of our self-service model. As we've mentioned throughout the office hour, it's really important for us to balance how we go into full partnerships with folks and also making sure that the tools and resources that we create are accessible across the sector. And so a part of what we have dubbed our self-service model is one to start with the framework, just to provide a common definition. So often in special education, things can mean different things to different people. And we are very proud to say that the framework is our offering to the sector to say, here are the components that give you a quality special education program, for folks to have a shared understanding and a common definition of what those are. Another component is that self-assessment tool, again, that you can take, giving you insight on teacher, leader, school, or district performance within those competencies. And then third are the competency aligned resources. So we kicked off the office hour. Sarah spoke to the work that's happening in our organization and the period of growth that we're in. We're learning a ton and we are building a lot. And so as we are building resources aligned to the framework, we're also rolling those out and sharing them. You'll see them in our monthly blogs. We'll tag them and associate with them with the different domains. You can definitely go back again to our website and check out some resources that we pushed out earlier this year around school-wide scheduling and things like that. So we want to make sure that for as much as we're giving folks insight into the state of affairs in their schools and districts, we're also giving supports and resources to help you make those improvements.
If you have any ideas about tools that would be helpful as well, let us know. Like one of the other office hours and tools that we created a resource on was for the whole school schedule and creating a whole school schedule that looks at students with IEPs and how to get them services, but also sort of more generally, how do you create a whole school schedule that keeps all of the students with diverse learning needs at the center. That came from a tweet of somebody saying, hey, I would love this resource. And so we went ahead and built it. So just so you know, feel free to tweet at us. All right, now I'm getting really slap happy. All right.
So with every office hour, to kick off our question and answer component, if you will, we like to pick up some frequently asked questions. To Sarah's point, these are things that may come across our social media, things that have come up in our work with partners. And so we have a couple that we lifted up today. The first one is around the summary report. So this question is, once I receive the summary report, how do I prioritize the competencies? Do you find that some competencies are more foundational than others? This is definitely a high frequency question. Folks want to know, where do I start? The answer here is context matters. So we definitely encourage folks, consider your school's goals, consider your district's goals in your strategic plans. Where are you in the year, right? If you are doing end of the year, planning for the next school year, your lens is going to be very different than if you were in the thick of it in November, December, and you're like, okay, I need to find this, I need to focus on this one topic to really make sure that we can make a solid push to the end of the year. Those types of pieces of information will help inform how you determine the competencies that you want to prioritize. The second bullet is conducting that deep dive analysis of your self-assessment. with the context in mind to make more data-informed priority decisions. So as Sarah mentioned, we're going to, in a second, we'll talk more about like how you can leverage the results. And so definitely thinking about where your team is in this point of the year, where your team is in their own collaboration and development area to help you determine what you want to focus on. And then incorporating priority competencies into your school and district-wide strategic plans. This one is really important because we know that if something doesn't feel like a part of an ongoing plan, it can just feel like an add-on, and it is less likely to take root and actually be successful. So whatever it is that comes up in the summary report, you want to make sure that you are including it and incorporating it into your existing plans and not necessarily trying to like retrofit to where you're already headed. The second question is, so I'm a school leader who I've heard you, I'm interested. How do I use this self-assessment in my school? I'm gonna let Sarah tackle this.
I'll
one.
answer this
Question
one.
She gets a lot.
All right, so how do you use it? Well, there's a few ways that we suggest you use it, but if you have any other ideas, feel free to drop them in the chat. So one is to use the summary report as a data point or several data points for the leadership team to reflect on the school's practices. So this is where we are talking about like having, you know, the 5 members of the core leadership team all go off and do the self-assessment independently, get their reports, bring them back as a group, and talk through some of those questions in the gray together, or compare the results and really offer perspective to why you were assessing things the way that you were. And maybe that will help you then create some priorities or refocus priorities as you move forward. Another way to use the results is to help you set your annual improvement goals. So you may be, as I mentioned before, you may be that lone teacher that really wants to collaborate and build more inclusive practices, but you are not in an environment where that is really supported or valued. And so we can be that thought partner for you, and we can you can use the result summary report to really get some ideas for what you might want to do in terms of improvement. And if you're the leader, then you can do the same thing. And you can also set those goals either for yourself or for your school. And then the last idea is to use the results during a staff meeting to frame professional learning plans for teachers. And so this one is a little bit more of a stretch, but I think it could work to say, you know, we did this self-assessment, and here are the areas where we need to improve as a school, and engage in a conversation with your teachers around whether or not they agree, disagree, or, you know, have any qualifying points. And then really have them reflect on how they're going to improve, or talk through what kinds of professional development they would like to see in order to improve in that area. So I think there's a lot of different ways you could use this as a tool, like a proactive tool, to generate more conversation and think more strategically about what's happening in your school as a leader. Just basically helps, it can help be a more intentional data point for you as you plan. All right, now we're going to open it up to the group for any questions. Yes,
one actually came through, Sarah, when you were doing that last FAQ. And it's a really good one. So we're planning to complete the self-assessment as a team, but I'm sure we'll have a ton of questions. Is there anywhere we can go, or can you all help us? Yes, we would love to. So definitely, if you have like questions about what your final report looks like, any clarifying questions about recommendations or anything like that, please always reach out to us. We'd be happy to set up a quick, 30-minute call to just talk to you or your team about what you see, any follow-up questions you have, et cetera. And then as you all dig into your results some more if you identify areas that you're really interested in digging into and want to collaborate or get some support on that, we'd be happy to talk to you about options there as well. So our contact info will be added to the office hours when it goes live, and the email address. You can also just contact us via our contact us page
There's
on the
also,
website.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
There's also a checkbox to say, like, give me a call or set up a call, I think, at the end of the self-assessment. So you can just check that box. We'll set up a call. Any other questions? Everyone's ready to be done with the day.
I also know, yeah, like we are coming up on time. Very excited that that one question came through, but feel free again to reach out to us directly or hang back if you want to after we close out. So we like to leave everyone with a closing thought when we leave an office hour. And for today, we just want you to remember strategic improvement starts with taking the first step. Be intentional with the information that you examine and let the data tell the story. With the right resources and a committed team, you can make the necessary changes to support your students, and we are here to help. Thank you all so much. We want to give you a nice little preview. We are here every month. So next month, be on the lookout for our topic. We are sharing resources for planning effective, specially designed instruction. This is a hot button topic and very
We have such a good tool for this one.
Coming in October. The blogging tool will be out soon, and the office hours will take place on October 25th, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you there. And as always, your feedback helps us continuously improve and make sure that we are developing the things that are most helpful for you and that meet your needs. So we greatly appreciate if you take a minute to check out that link and share your feedback.
And thank you guys for attending, and to anyone who is watching this remotely, thank you for bearing with us as we made it through.
Thank you. Have a good night.